To survive here, she must become a ghost, and how this phantom mother constructs her nursery. To survive in the abyss, the phantom must hunt. She is armed with vicious, serrated claws, but she is not looking for a quick meal. She needs something specific, a living, breathing blueprint for her masterpiece. Finally, the perfect target arrives. A giant salp, a gelatinous filter feeder. Target is located, but taking down a creature 10 times her size requires a truly brutal strategy. The hijacking is up next. The phantom strikes, locking onto the giant salp with inescapable grip. She doesn't kill it instantly. She begins to eat it alive from the inside out. The host thrashes in agony, entirely helpless against the invisible terror within. With chilling efficiency, she carves out the stomach, the heart, and the nervous system. The host is dead, but how does she turn this soft, flaccid corpse into an indestructible fortress? The massacre is over. Now, the master architect goes to work. She secretes a biological chemical, turning the soft flesh into rigid, hardened armor. She precisely carves and stretches the husk into a perfect hydrodynamic cylinder. The transformation is complete. The Phantom now commands a ghostly submarine. She didn't build this fortress for herself. What she is about to put inside it is the true nightmare of the abyss. Inside her stolen castle, the invisible killer becomes a dedicated mother. She carefully lines the walls with hundreds of fragile, glowing eggs. She beats her legs tirelessly, pumping fresh oxygen to keep her unborn children alive. Soon, the fortress is filled with the writhing bodies of a new generation. But the vibrations of new life act as a dinner bell in the deep sea, and a true Leviathan has just heard the call. From the eternal night emerges a true monster, the deep-sea viperfish. Armed with oversized, needle-like fangs, it is the apex predator of the Twilight Zone. It lunges with explosive speed, aiming to swallow the nursery whole. But Phronima's engineering is flawless. The fangs slip off the tough, rubbery armor. The physical breach has failed, but this Leviathan has another, far more deadly trick up its sleeve. The true attack is up next. Unable to crush the fortress, the Leviathan deploys a hypnotic, glowing lure. It unleashes a blinding biological flashbang, disorienting the mother inside. With the prey blinded, it opens its massive jaws to create a deadly suction vortex. Operating purely on survival instinct, Phronima violently steers her biological submarine out of the vortex. She escapes the Leviathan, but the violent maneuver has caught a downward current, dragging them into the most dangerous battlefield on Earth. The current drags the nursery into a deadly biological minefield. They have drifted into the deadly snare of a giant siphonophore. The barrel brushes a tentacle, instantly triggering thousands of microscopic, venomous harpoons. The armor holds. The venomous darts cannot pierce the thick, stolen flesh. The poison fails, but the trap is sprung. The fortress is now a prison, being dragged slowly into a giant As the jaws of death close in, the Phantom Mother prepares a desperate counterattack. She risks everything, exposing her own body to the deadly neurotoxins. Her jagged claws become surgical blades, violently slicing through the giant's snare. The glowing chains are severed. The biological submarine drops back into the void. They have survived the external monsters, but inside, a new crisis is emerging. The stolen armor cannot last forever. The fortress is decaying. The children have grown into perfect, terrifying replicas of their mother. With gentle but firm pushes, she forces them out of the only home they have ever known. Hundreds of tiny phantoms disperse into the brutal, unforgiving abyss. Alone in the dark, they are drawn to a beautiful, mesmerizing light. But in the deep sea, light is the ultimate lie. Driven by primal instinct, the newborns swim directly toward a beacon of light. But this light is not salvation. It is the lure of the deep-sea anglerfish. The master of deception waits in absolute stillness, its jaws ready to snap. The trap is set, the jaws prepare to strike. Can the Phantom Mother save her legacy one last time? Just as the jaws open, the mother executes her final, desperate gambit. She rams her degrading fortress directly into the predator, shattering the barrel instantly. The violent impact startles the Leviathan, scattering the newborns safely into the current. The master of deception retreats. The children are saved, and her legacy is secure. The predator strikes with terrifying speed, its fangs barely missing her delicate legs. Just as her energy fades, a massive glowing structure appears in the dark. It is a giant pyrosome. To survive, she must execute a high-speed hijacking while staring death in the face. In a fraction of a second, she slips inside the glowing Leviathan. Blinded and confused by the pyrosome's intense light, the predator retreats. Phronima finds herself inside a massive, hollow cylinder of living light. She prepares to conquer this new, massive host and build a second empire. But this castle is already taken. A heavily armored usurper stands in her way, and a brutal turf war is about to begin. The glowing tube becomes a claustrophobic arena for a deadly territorial war. The armored isopod charges like a tank, attempting to crush the delicate phantom. But Phronima relies on lethal speed, using her surgical claws to strike the soft joints. Their violent clash tears the host apart, causing the living walls to flash in panic. The distress signals echo into the abyss, and the ultimate deep-sea cleaner is coming to devour them both. The gladiator arena is suddenly swallowed by a massive crown jellyfish. Lethal digestive acids begin to seep through the walls of the tube. The heavy isopod panics, its armor useless against the dissolving chemical flood. Displaying terrifying intellect, Phronima ignores her enemy and carves a precise escape hatch. She drops back into the void, leaving her rival to be digested alive. But the abyss is endless, and her hunt for a new home. Naked and exhausted, she curls into a tight ball, perfectly mimicking a lifeless cluster of organic debris. But this camouflage attracts scavengers. A massive grenadier fish patrols the dark. It opens its cavernous mouth, blindly vacuuming up the falling snow. The phantom is swallowed alive. Trapped inside a living dungeon, her escape will require the most brutal act of surgery yet. Inside the crushing darkness of the predator's throat, the assassin fights back. She anchors her serrated claws into the highly sensitive, blood-rich gills. The giant chokes in agony as the tiny phantom literally carves a path to freedom. She bursts through the gill slit, violently ejecting herself back into the void. But she has been dropped into a new circle of hell, a deep-sea whalefall, an oasis of death. In this chaotic graveyard, she spots the ultimate prize, a deep-sea ctenophore, a comb jelly protected by rows of cilia that flash hypnotic rainbow bioluminescence. Unlike her previous victims, this host is armed with toxic defenses. The phantom calculates the risk, preparing for a high-speed, surgical strike. To claim the rainbow armor, she must disable its nervous system in a single blow. If she fails, she dies. The hijack is up next. A flawless strike. Her jaws sever the jelly's neural center instantly. She hollows out the rainbow giant, claiming a far more advanced hydrodynamic fortress. But the dead host's cilia continue to flash, lighting up the abyss like a beacon. The brilliant light attracts the undisputed king of the deep sea. Caught in the grip of a colossal squid, the fragile fortress is about to be crushed. How do you survive a titan's embrace? Up next. The titan's grip tightens. The massive, toothed suckers threaten to tear the fortress apart. Under crushing pressure, the brilliant mother executes a chemical override. She overloads the dead host's bioluminescence, creating a massive, blinding flash. Startled and blinded, the Titan releases its grip and deploys a massive cloud of ink. She survives the Titan. But in the deep sea, ink clouds are hunting grounds for something far more sinister. Within the blinding ink cloud, the vampire of the abyss opens its glowing red eyes. It doesn't bite. It wraps the fortress in a dark, suffocating, spiked cloak.
Trapped in absolute darkness, the phantom pushes upward against the flexible enclosure.
The vampire flinches and retreats, but its hooked spikes tear the fortress wide open.
The armor is ruptured. The biological submarine is sinking rapidly into the crushing abyssal zone.
The peril plunging into the crushing abyssal zone, she races to repair her shattered hull. The fortress stabilizes, a dim beacon of life in an absolute, freezing wasteland.
But in a wasteland, any sign of life attracts the ultimate scavengers.
A pelican eel rises from the depths. How do you escape a mouth that can swallow you and your entire world whole?
The cavernous maw snaps shut. The phantom is swallowed alive in a sea of darkness. Knowing the fortress is doomed, she abandons ship to save herself. She uses her surgical claws to easily slice through the thin, balloon-like stomach wall. She squeezes through the tear, leaving her destroyed home behind in the giant's belly. She is naked once again, but this time she carries her final brood. She needs the ultimate fortress. The ghost ship is up next. Desperate, the mother spots a massive colonial salp chain, a floating ghost ship. She attacks the central chamber, hollowing it out while leaving the rest of the train intact. She claims the ultimate fortress, lining its vast walls with her final generation. But the scent of the massive kill echoes into the dark, awakening the scavengers. A swarm of cannibalistic cousins has arrived for a feast. The mother must defend the gates alone. The cannibal swarm attacks, desperate to devour the unborn children. Displaying Spartan defense, the mother physically blocks the only entrance. Her jagged claws become an impenetrable wall of death, severing the invaders. The siege is broken. The surviving scavengers retreat back into the shadows. The mother is exhausted, but the war is won. And inside the fortress, a new terrifying army is waking up. The waiting is over. Hundreds of tiny, glowing phantoms enter the world. Born with fully formed claws, they are miniature, ruthless killers from day one. The mother gently circulates the water, guiding her children in their first swim. But the deep sea grants no peace. A microscopic glass assassin detects the newborns. The arrowworm strikes with lightning speed. The mother must defend her legacy one last time. The final defense is up next. The glass assassin darts inside, its venomous bristles reaching for a newborn. With absolute maternal fury, the Phantom Queen intercepts the lightning strike. Her serrated claws snap shut, slicing the transparent killer cleanly in half. The threat is neutralized. The nursery remains an unconquered fortress. But the battles have taken their toll. Her energy is gone, and her final moment is up next. Go. Be free. You'll be safe out there. Like a cloud of glowing stars, the newborns disperse into the endless void. She remains in the ruined castle, fading quietly into the history of the abyss. The children ascend, armed with the brutal instincts of their bloodline. They are no longer prey. They are the new architects of death. The endless cycle is about to begin. Alone in the deep, the tiny phantom begins her own reign of terror. Through the darkness, she spots a small, gelatinous filter feeder. Instinct takes over. She readies her tiny, jagged claws for the hijack. She strikes, beginning the brutal process of hollowing out a new home. The cycle of the hostile takeover is eternal. The master architect lives on. She is a microscopic titan in a world of absolute extremes, reigning over the abyss. A creature that turns the death of giants into a sanctuary for life. Leviathans may rule by brute force, but she rules by brilliant deception. She is the invisible assassin, the ultimate phantom mother, the undisputed queen of the deep. The Phronima is just one ghost in a vastly larger, alien world. This is the deep ocean, the largest and least explored habitat on Earth. Beneath the calm, sunlit waves lies a dark universe of ruthless innovation. An ancient ecosystem built on a relentless, brutal cycle of life, death, and and survival. Here, in the shadows, the most terrifying monsters are the ones you never see.